What's happening, tennis fanatics? Welcome back to the only channel that brings you the real stories, the deep analysis, and the raw emotion behind every single breakthrough moment in tennis. Before we dive into this absolutely historic performance by Alex Ela at the Abu Dhabi Open that has the entire tennis world in complete shock, I need your support right now. We're grinding to reach 1,000 subscribers, and we cannot do it without you. If you want comprehensive, passionate tennis coverage that goes beyond the surface-level highlights, if you want to understand why these moments matter and what they mean for the future of the sport, smash that subscribe button immediately. Hit that notification bell so you never miss when we break down these game-changing performances. Trust me, after you hear about how Alexandra Ela rose from the ashes of Manila heartbreak to absolutely demolish her opponent in Abu Dhabi and cement herself as a legitimate WTA top 50 player, you're going to want to be here for every single match she plays going forward. Ladies and gentlemen, tennis fans around the world, and especially to the millions of supporters witnessing history in the making across the Philippines and the global Filipino diaspora, what we just witnessed in the United Arab Emirates wasn't just a tennis match. It wasn't just a routine round of 32 fixture in a WTA 500 level event. It was a statement. It was a declaration. It was the undeniable, earth-shaking arrival of what the tennis world is now calling the Ela era. We're talking about the Mubadala Abu Dhabi Open 2026, and we're talking about a moment that the casual tennis world did not see coming but perhaps should have if they'd been paying closer attention. Just days after a crushing, emotionally devastating exit at the Philippine Women's Open, a loss that left fans in tears and critics immediately questioning whether the pressure of being the face of Filipino tennis was simply too much for her young shoulders to carry, Alexandra Ela has risen from the ashes in the most spectacular fashion imaginable. The headline is deceptively simple, but the reality behind it is incredibly complex and layered. Alexandra Ela has shocked the tennis world. She has taken the court at the Zayed Sports City International Tennis Center, not as a hopeful contender praying for a lucky break or a favorable draw, but as the most popular figure in the entire arena, a legitimate titan of the court who has officially cracked the code of elite professional tennis. She has advanced to the next round, but to say she simply advanced is a massive understatement that doesn't capture the magnitude of what happened. She conquered. She dominated. She sent an unmistakable message to every player in the draw that the Alexandra Ela they might have underestimated is gone forever, replaced by something far more dangerous. Let's set the scene properly because context is absolutely everything in sports storytelling. Picture this vivid image. The desert heat of Abu Dhabi radiating off the hard courts. A stadium that should by all rights and geographic logic be completely neutral ground. Yet as Alexandra Ela walked out onto that hard court surface, it didn't sound like the Middle East at all. It sounded like Manila. It sounded like home. The absolutely deafening roar of the overseas Filipino workers, the massive diaspora community that has waited literally generations for a tennis hero to call their own, completely filled the air and transformed a foreign arena thousands of miles from the Philippines into an impenetrable fortress for the Filipina sensation. This is the news that is shaking the tennis world to its core right now. Alexandra Ela, fresh off achieving a historic career-high ranking of world number 45, the highest ranking ever achieved by any Filipino tennis player in history, has swept past her close friend and doubles partner, Turkey's Zeynep Sönmez, in commanding straight sets with a scoreline of 6-4, 6-3. A score that looks clean and efficient on paper but completely hides the absolute war of attrition, the mental fortitude required, and the tactical brilliance that took place over 1 hour and 31 minutes of intense competition. This victory is not just about moving forward to the round of 16. It's about resilience in its purest form. It's about bouncing back from the Manila heartbreak where she fell to Colombia's Camila Osorio in front of her home crowd. Many wondered openly if that loss would haunt her psychologically. Many questioned whether the immense pressure of being crowned the undisputed queen of Philippine tennis was finally weighing her down and crushing her potential. Tonight in Abu Dhabi, Alexandra answered those questions with a resounding, emphatic no delivered through her racket. She didn't just win the match. She dominated the entire narrative surrounding it. She stepped onto the court against Sönmez, a player she knows intimately from countless practice sessions and doubles partnerships, a player she genuinely calls a friend off the court, a player who's been making her own significant waves on the professional tour. And she put that friendship completely aside for 90 minutes of pure, unadulterated competitive focus and surgical precision. Why is this result so shocking to the tennis establishment? Why is the whole world suddenly buzzing about Alexandra Ela? Because you need to look at the absolute carnage happening around her in the draw. While Ela was methodically securing her destiny and booking her spot in the next round, absolute giants of the game were falling left and right. The 8th seed Paula Badosa, a name that strikes genuine fear into opponents and a former top 5 player in the world, was upset in a stunning result. Badosa is out of the tournament. And who is left standing tall amidst all this chaos? The 20-year-old from Quezon City, Philippines. The Rafael Nadal Academy graduate who is no longer a promising prospect or a player with potential. She is a legitimate contender for titles. This is the era we have been waiting for, that we've been predicting for months. The media is calling it the Ela era, and for very good reason, backed by concrete results. For the first time in the entire history of Philippine tennis, a Filipina stands firmly inside the WTA top 50 rankings. Do you truly understand the gravity and historical significance of that achievement? Number 45 in the world rankings. Ranked above Grand Slam finalists. Ranked above battle-tested veterans with decades of professional experience. She has entered the genuinely elite echelon of women's tennis, and she celebrated that monumental milestone by systematically dismantling a world-class opponent on a global stage with millions watching. The shock for tennis insiders isn't simply that she won this match. The shock is how incredibly quickly she's evolved as a complete player. We are witnessing a completely new version of Alexandra Ela emerge before our eyes. A version that can take a devastating emotional punch in Manila and throw an absolute knockout blow in Abu Dhabi less than 1 week later. The mental toughness required to completely reset psychologically, to fly across an entire continent, to ignore the jet lag and time zone changes, to ignore all the external noise and social media criticism, and then execute a tactical game plan so flawlessly under pressure, that is genuinely the stuff that champions are made of. That is the stuff that creates legends. And let's talk specifically about that designation as the most popular player in Abu Dhabi, because this matters enormously. Ela isn't just a tournament participant filling out the draw. She is the main event that people are paying money to see. Multiple reports coming directly out of the stadium confirmed that the crowd support and energy for her rivaled and possibly exceeded that of the top seeds. The electric atmosphere was palpable even through television screens. Every forehand winner was met with absolutely thunderous applause that shook the stadium. Every saved breakpoint was cheered as if it were match point in a Grand Slam final. She is carrying the hopes and dreams of an entire nation of over 100 million people on her shoulders, and instead of crumbling under that suffocating weight, she is using it as rocket fuel. To truly appreciate the full magnitude of this victory and understand why it resonates so deeply, we absolutely must rewind the clock. We have to go back just a few days to the Rosal Memorial Tennis Center in Manila for the Philippine Women's Open. The atmosphere there was suffocatingly intense in a way that's difficult to describe if you weren't there. It was a homecoming event. The first WTA 25 tournament in the country in years. Alexandra Ela was the face of the entire tournament. Her image was on billboards throughout the city. She was featured in television commercials. The expectations were absolutely crushing. She fought her way courageously to the quarterfinals, but she ran directly into a brick wall named Camila Osorio. That loss hurt in a way that transcended normal competitive disappointment. You could see the pain etched in her eyes during the post-match interviews. It wasn't just a tennis loss on the scoreboard. It was heartbreak playing out in front of her own people, in front of family and friends and fans who had traveled from across the archipelago to support her. Critics immediately pounced with the typical hot takes. They asked if the travel schedule was too demanding. They asked if the home court curse was real and unavoidable. They openly questioned whether she could possibly mentally recover in time for a major WTA 500 event like Abu Dhabi. This is exactly why the context and timeline matter so much. Most professional players after such a devastating home loss would take at least a week completely off. They would retreat from competition. They would lick their wounds privately and work with sports psychologists. Alexandra did the complete opposite. She jumped on a plane almost immediately. She flew to the Middle East. She went from the oppressive humidity of Manila to the dry desert heat of the UAE, and she arrived carrying brand new status. On Monday, just hours before her opening match, the WTA rankings officially updated. For the first time ever in her career, the number displayed next to her name started with a 4. World number 45. The highest ranking ever achieved by any Filipino tennis player in history. Imagine the intense psychological dichotomy she was navigating. On one hand, the still fresh sting of the Manila loss and disappointment. On the other hand, the incredible validation of being a legitimate top 50 player in the world. She walked onto the court in Abu Dhabi carrying both of those enormous burdens simultaneously, and she channeled them into pure laser focus. This wasn't just a tennis match being played. It was a redemption arc playing out in real time for everyone to witness. Now let's examine who stood across the net, because this matchup had fascinating layers. Zeynep Sönmez, the talented Turkish star. This wasn't some random opponent drawn from a hat. This was deeply personal, but in the best possible way for competitive sports. Ela and Sönmez are genuinely close friends off the court. They've played doubles together as partners. They've practiced together countless times. They know each other's games inside and out like few opponents do. Playing a friend is often psychologically harder than playing a complete stranger. There are no secrets. Sönmez knows Alexandra's devastating cross-court forehand. Ela knows Zeynep's tendencies on the backhand wing. There's a genuine emotional hurdle to clear. You have to genuinely want to destroy the person you grab dinner with after practice. In the pre-match press conference, Ela spoke candidly about this dynamic. She said, "I admire her so much as a player and person. Our friendship goes beyond tennis and competition. But once the umpire calls play and the match begins, that friendship has to be suspended temporarily." This represents a crucial evolution in Alexandra's professional maturity. The ability to compartmentalize completely. To be an absolute killer on the court and a supportive friend off it. Sönmez is absolutely no slouch as a competitor. She's ranked 7th to 9th in the world. She had a strong showing at the Australian Open qualifiers. She's a gritty baseline grinder who refuses to give opponents any free points whatsoever. Ela knew she couldn't just blast her off the court with power alone. She had to systematically dismantle her game piece by piece. The match began and immediately the tactical tempo was established. The first set became a genuine battle for court territory. Both women were holding serve comfortably, feeling each other out, looking for patterns and weaknesses. It was tactical chess played at high speed. They reached 3 games all in the first set. This is typically the danger zone in women's professional tennis. The pressure to break serve becomes absolutely immense. Alexandra sensed the crucial moment arriving. She dialed up the aggression significantly on her return game. She started stepping aggressively inside the baseline, taking Sönmez's second serves extremely early, completely robbing the Turkish player of time to set up. She broke serve decisively. She took the lead. She consolidated the break immediately. Suddenly it was 5-3 with Ela serving for the set. But Sönmez held her own serve to make it 5-4, and now the pressure shifted squarely onto Alexandra's racket. Serving for the set is never easy under any circumstances, especially against a friend who knows your serve patterns intimately. But Ela didn't falter for a second. She utilized that devastating lefty slice serve out wide that she learned at the Nadal Academy, opening up the court geometrically. She closed out the first set 6-4 with authority. Why was winning this set so absolutely critical psychologically? Because in Manila against Osorio, Alexandra had struggled badly to close out tight sets at crucial moments. Here in Abu Dhabi she completely exercised those demons. She won all the big points. She won the long, grueling rallies. She showed definitively that the mental lapse in Manila was an anomaly, not an emerging trend. If the first set was a tactical battle, the start of the second set was an absolute blitz. Ela came out firing with everything. She didn't just want to win anymore. She wanted to dominate and make a statement. She raced to a commanding 3-love lead with a double break. It looked like it was going to be a complete blowout. Her forehand was painting lines with precision. Her footwork was absolutely exquisite. She was sliding on the hard court surface, something she has improved dramatically, retrieving balls that seemed completely impossible. But tennis is always a game of momentum swings and runs. Sonmez, to her enormous credit, refused to simply roll over. Down love 3 and facing humiliation, the Turkish player started fighting back with everything. She began extending rallies, forcing Ela to hit one extra ball. Small errors started creeping into Alexandra's game. The score tightened ominously. 3-1. 3-2. Then Sonmez broke back. Suddenly it was 4-3 and the match had completely changed. This was the absolute crisis point. The Manila ghost could have returned to haunt her. A 3-love lead evaporating to 4-3 can absolutely shatter a player's confidence permanently. The crowd held its collective breath. The Filipino fans who had been chanting and cheering went suddenly quiet with anxiety. But this is where the Ela era showed its true championship colors. At 4-3 while serving and facing a completely resurgent opponent with all the momentum, Alexandra produced her absolute best tennis of the entire match. She engaged in a brutal rally at 30-all that tested every aspect of her game. She didn't play it safe. She went for a daring down-the-line winner with everything on the line. It landed perfectly. Game point. She held for 5-3. That crucial hold absolutely broke Sonmez's spirit. You could see the body language change immediately. Ela had weathered the storm and emerged stronger. In the final game, Alexandra applied suffocating pressure on Zeynep's serve. She moved beautifully, anticipating every shot. Match point arrived. Ela fires a deep, heavy return. Sonmez's response goes wide. Game, set, match. 6-4, 6-3. So what happens next in this incredible story? The celebration must be short-lived because professional tennis never stops. The round of 16 presents an absolutely fascinating challenge. She faces Alexandra Sasnovich next. On paper, Sasnovich is ranked lower at number 109. But do not let that ranking fool you for a second. Sasnovich is a battle-tested veteran. She's a dangerous floater. And most importantly, she just defeated the 8th seed Paula Badosa in a stunning upset. Sasnovich beat Badosa from a set down, winning 4-6, 6-3, 6-1. That result tells us everything. Sasnovich is in serious form right now. She's gritty and she's completely capable of beating top-tier talent on any given day. Why are we confidently calling this the Ela era? Because it feels genuinely sustainable, not like a flash in the pan. This doesn't feel like a lucky streak that will evaporate. When you watch Alexandra play in 2026, you see a complete player emerging. The serve is significantly harder and better placed. The backhand down the line has become a legitimate weapon. The net game, honed through countless doubles matches, is sharp and effective. And the mental game is absolutely ironclad now. She's only 20 years old. This is the absolute prime age for a tennis breakout. We are witnessing in real time the transition from promising junior champion to legitimate WTA star. The world is shocked because they didn't pay attention to the incremental improvements happening over months. They only see the headline, Ela beats Sonmez. But we, the deep divers and true tennis students, we know that this victory was built on months of brutal work in the gym, months of refining technique with coaches, and the hardening of competitive spirit in tournaments. All right everyone, now I desperately want to hear from you. The Ela army, the tennis historians, the casual fans who just discovered her. What did you think of Alexandra's incredible performance against Sonmez? Was that second set recovery the true turning point of her entire season? And what's your prediction for the massive showdown against Sasnovich? Can she take down the giant killer and keep this dream run alive? Drop your predictions, your analysis, and your messages of support in the comments below. We read every single one. If you enjoyed this extensive breakdown and want to stay updated on every match, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring that notification bell. The Ela era has begun, and you're witnessing history. Peace out.